One of my favorite photos, she's in the car. Another favorite photo, she's laying on the couch. I'm pretty sure I was going to work right at that moment, and she looks so cute. I came to take a little quick video and picture of her. She's having a pup cup, a puppuccino in the car. One of my favorite places, Hoboken. This is one of the many parks there. This is Mama's chair. She didn't used to be allowed on Mama's chair, but of course she commandeered everything that was cozy and comfortable. Also one of my favorite photos, and she's sitting on Azura's chair. She always leaned up against a pillow in some shape or form. And yeah, she had a little fleece jacket that had little like bear's ears or something. I feel like I'm skipping something. She often sat at the table to see what food there might be. This was early on, probably before she was 1 year old. Just more pictures while we were out or we were home. This was, I think it was a couple of weeks after she went to the emergency room with her hemorrhagic gastroenteritis. And she was really on the mend for a little while, and then things took a turn for the worse. And she always would, take one of her toys and pick it up and just walk a few, paces and then just lay down with it. So there are a lot of pictures of her with a toy just right by her face. I thought she looked like a little sea otter right there. You can't see her legs, but she was super cute. She often did something like that. It was very cold this day, so she's wearing my scarf, and somebody on our property had made a snowman. This is also in Hoboken. Love her face there. Always watching, doing the neighborhood watch. And she was always very, very playful. So this is her with her ball. She could never hold a real ball in her mouth because she was so, flat-faced, right? Another toy. I thought she looked like a baby here. This is on our property also. This is like golden hour sun. It's beautiful. Same here. This is the golden hour sun. At the mall. She was passed out sleeping, and she looked so flat. She looked like a slug. And then I went and took a picture of her, and then she kind of woke up and looked at me. So that's why but it's so dark, as I told you. That was one of her earliest bears that I ever bought for her. She loved this bear. Even towards the end, she would, chew on these a lot. She really liked it. This bear, I bought multiple generations of it, so all her favorite toys, I bought multiple generations of it. So this was probably like the third generation of that toy. I made a table for her, and this is her feeding bowl. It's like a flat ramekin, and I learned early on that she was getting food like in her little creases and things. So I highly recommend for Frenchies or any like bulldog, flat face, brachycephalic breed, that you get a very, very low bowl. And she would make a mess because she uses the vacuum cleaner or the shoveling method. She just pushes the food and then shovels it into her mouth. So if your dog has that eating style, because I know another dog I have looked after has a very different eating style. So that's why I would cover it with a cloth. This is actually a baby blanket, but it's the perfect size, and I have many of them. So I would cover her table with the cloth, so that way it would catch all the mess that rolled out here and fell down here. And yeah, after I would just throw them in the washing machine. But anyway, and also I would just put like 1/3 of her food in at once, you know, and then when she ate it, then I would slowly put the next, you know, third and then the last third. That's how I would slow her down with her eating. And also it was in the middle of the room. I often see dog owners feed their dogs, like, you know, they'll put their food bowl like right by the wall, and then they don't really have full access. So she would literally, you know, go all around and pick up and eat, you know, all the food that was left over. So I think, you know, try to feed your dogs not right by the wall. I think that would be very, very helpful to them. Again, on Azura's chair. There's Azura's chair. She often did this. She would lay down. I thought she looked so cute. She looks like a little alien with the sun shining down on her. This is one of our favorite parks, Van Zon Park. It's also the very last park we went to on the day she passed away. This is Central Park in New York City. So this is a famous pond where a lot of movie scenes are, you know, taken. Like this is New York City, right by the border. I can't remember the name of the town, but it's south of Nanuet. This is that same big pond that we went to on the hot day. You can see her look like she's smiling. This is a little duck pond in Ridgewood that has a nice doggy park. Same here. There's the hoodie that I made for her. Same duck pond. She's also looking at her favorite toy in a different mall here. She loved this mall. This was probably one of our favorite malls. I called it the mall that's far away. Every place that we went to, I referred to it. You can see how she's longing for the toy so much. I just love her face. And it also broke my heart because she wanted it so badly. It's a long story. I did end up buying it for her, but that's a different story for another day. This is Rockefeller Center. And again, her just sunbathing right by the windows on the floor. This is American Dream. This is one of our favorite places in New York City. It's called Jemmy's Run, probably our favorite doggy park of all. Doggy park's back over on this side. This is kind of like the front of the entrance to the big park. And this is again the mall. These are taken a bit later, during her last 1 or 2 months before, while she was a little bit sick. She was a little bit sick on those days. We had gone to the beach and there was this beautiful building over there. You can see her little, I called that baby bear. I tried to give a name to every toy she had. She would always lay down like this. These are my legs. That's how she loved to lay down on me. It was the sweetest thing. At our favorite park, Van Zon Park, there are horses there. They're ponies actually, and they give pony rides and classes and things. So she loved animals of any type, but she loved to see these horses. The horses there are Elsa and, oh my goodness, I can't remember the other horse's name. She just adored them. Just more pictures of her on Azura's chair. This was when we had company over and we did the blow up bed here, and then she's just always wanting to be near the action, so she was trying to look busy with her toy on the chair. This is our property. These are getting this one and this one, these are getting a bit later. This was our last Thanksgiving Day together. She was at the ER when she had HGE. This was the first time she could go back to her, window, view after she was very, very ill. That's the first day she was well enough to go back to her normal, routine-ish. And this is a doggy pumpkin pie, dog-safe pumpkin pie that I made. She was very ill, and doctor said she couldn't go outside, so we would just roam around the building. I live in a large building, and we just saw this little guy from inside the building. This is her asking for her treats. I made homemade beef jerky for her, so I would make them to small pieces, or chicken jerky, or whatever I had, and also biscuits, homemade biscuits, and she would play games with them. So this is her asking me for them, telling me she's ready for more. We would often come home, and she would just walk, this is right in front of the foyer, and she would just pass out like that. So I don't actually remember what day that was, but she would just literally be so exhausted, especially if it was hot outside. She would just come here and just pass out. But she often hung out here. She would just lay down. This was her little spot that she loved to sit on, because she could watch the front door, and she could also watch me running around from room to room and, do stuff. She's again asking for her favorite toy. This was one of the days while she was sick. She had enough energy to go and walk on leash at the mall. Thought she was so adorable. Again, walking at the mall. She often passed out like this too, and that's when I realized that not only did she need Azura's chair, but she needed a place where she could stretch out, her whole body. So I made this kind of like observation deck for her, and of course a step, because Frenchies have weak backs. This was me feeding her in the bedroom. We were a mess. We were just barely surviving from day to day when she was sick, and I just love this picture. This was taken by my security camera. I had security cameras, 3 different ones pointing in different areas in the home, and that way I could watch her when I was working. And if she were sick, then I could, rush home. If she was very sick, then of course I would just stay home. But if she seemed well enough, then I can go to work and keep an eye on her. But I absolutely adore this photo, even though it's blurry. Again, she's looking at, you can sort of see, you can't really tell. Her favorite toy is over here on the left side there. Doctor said she shouldn't breathe too much colder, because it was absolutely freezing the winter that she had passed away. And this is her also while she was sick. These were all taken, all of these while she was sick. It's a long story, but it was up and down. There were most days she was well enough to go out for a little bit, and we always went out. I always took her out as long as she was well enough for a little outing, so you can tell she's starting to get kind of swollen. She had this weird thing going on in her neck and her chest. So and here too, she often sat here when the sun was starting to go down. This was when I had to move her bed to the bedroom, and we were just in complete survival mode when she was sick. But she was getting better. She was on the mend. She was very, very sick here, but these are the memories where we used to stay up all night, and I just had to keep watching her and take care of her. But I just laid a bunch of blankets on the floor in every room, and wherever she needed to be, I just laid next to her. And we went for a little walk after dinner. This was late at night, so we would just walk around the property indoors and outdoors, but mostly indoors. just cozy on her. I took that same car seat that you saw, you know, in the car in the earlier photos, and it became her bed, and she absolutely loved it. So I just, you know, kind of made it a bit firmer because it was hurting her back a little bit. So I just redid all the insides to make it firmer, and then I draped a bunch of blankets over it. I always had one waterproof blanket on everything if I could, just in case, you know. So then I tucked it all in, and then I would just have to wash the top blanket. I just take it off and put different ones on. So that's what you're seeing here. That's the same bed. This is the same bed here with a different blanket on, because I would just wash them all the time. You can see from the previous photos. If I can find it now. There's a lot of photos of. This is that same car seat. It used to be in the car. That's the same car seat. So there's a lot of these. So then I bought her a different car seat with a lot more surface area, so it was much easier for her to just, you know, stand up straight, and she didn't have to hurt her back. It's hard to explain, but she didn't have to hurt her back that way. So this was the day before she got very ill. We went to New York City, and we were in this really special Starbucks. It had a lot of different, you know, rooms and options in there. This was, I believe, the last toy she ever got. It's the last time I remember her running around and actually playing with a toy. Again, she's asking for her treats, her beef jerky. This is the first time she ever walked by herself, I believe, or one of the first times. This is at the Little Mall that was near our home. And it's a long story, but anyway, this was quite epic for us, and I was so proud of her. We went to visit a friend of mine. She absolutely adored him, and you can see she's about to get sassy with him. She was quite sick in these ones and this one. We were just, you know, walking around. Even though she didn't feel well, she wanted to go out and, you know, get some fresh air and say hello to our neighbors. And this is a different bed that I had made. It was like a bag that I could carry her in, and I had plans to, you know, use it, and I never did. But at least she used it a little bit. She used it several times at home. When she couldn't breathe very well, she would come in here. She always tried new things, so if I put something out, you know, at home, she would go and try it out. I thought this was a while ago, probably a year or two ago, I don't remember, but I just had to take this picture because it just seems so prophetic or symbolic or something. And now that she's gone, it just means so much more. You know, she was always looking towards the door to the outside world and ready for adventure. That's just very much her characteristic. This is the last toy that I bought for her, and while she was sick. And let's see here. This is the end of the book. This is her last day. She was watching tennis. She was very, very ill in this moment, but she had forgotten about it for a little while because she was watching her favorite thing at the park. This is one of the first times I let her walk outside, outdoors, but she was very sick. And then these two, she looks weird, I think, here. I think she looks very ill, but we were at the other park that's close to home. This was our last walk. So anyway, this was her last day, and 2 hours after this, she passed away. We went to the hospital to get help, and she ended up passing away, after we got there, but at least I was present. That's another story for another day. And the end. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this. It turned out to be very, very long, so I apologize. Maybe I'll make another video of just, flipping through just so you can see it, the short version. Thank you so much.